How are you doing, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Drew Jensen with the ASTV Sports Show. We are going to be doing episode 3 of the ASTV Sports Show, so thanks for joining us. I've got a awesome episode for you today. We've got a great guest for you to kind of listen to. You can pick his brain in the comments section. You can get a hold of him. You can even reach him here at this little email right down below. I'm going to kind of give you a small introduction to who he is, what he does in just a moment here. But first, just to let you know, ASTV Sports Show is a show dedicated for the athletes. We put the athletes first. If you're interested in being on the ASTV Sports Show, you can get a hold of me at drew@amateursports.tv. If you want to send me an email, maybe you're a player, maybe you're a coach, maybe you're retired, maybe you're a parent who's seen something amazing, share it. I want to know. Send me an email. It may kind of sort of go together with a topic that I'm already researching and going with. So yeah, without further ado, the episode for today is going to be great. As I mentioned, my name is Drew Jensen, and we've got, as you can see at the bottom of the screen, we've got Matt Gorman on today. He's going to be kind of discussing his advising techniques. MCN advising has been around for a couple years. They help out amateur athletes who are looking to kind of take it to the next level. If you're an athlete looking to do that, if you're wanting to sort of elevate your game in the skills department or even in the education department, MCN advising provides a whole bunch of different solutions, tricks, and sort of helpful hints that will get you to the next level, whether that's the NCAA or whether you're just looking to go to a college that you're interested in playing in or interested in just studying at. Matt is there and his team to help you, to propel you to the next level, and yeah, to get you there prepared so you aren't straggling behind, because we all know getting to university is difficult. Even applying for university is difficult. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Mr. Matt Gorman. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Drew. How are you doing?
Not too bad, not too bad. I'm just gonna turn down this just a touch. There we go. Okay, I think I should be good. Nice. Perfect. So Matt Gorman, you're on the show here, ASTV Sports. Thank you for joining us. I'm just gonna flick this off so people can see your name. There we go.
Perfect.
Awesome. So I'm going to give a small introduction of kind of what you've done. You've stacked up a massive career, and by massive, I want to say a shit ton of points. A lot of points. And you've played with some really massive people too, like with the likes of Mike Comrie and Danny Heatley and stuff like that, Scotty Hartnell. And you've still, I mean, when Heater came into the league, you put up the second most amount of points for the Fort Saskatchewan there, for Saskatchewan Traders, sorry. Like, you were killing it. You had over 60 goals, which was, I think, what, the 8th player in league history to record over 60 goals. That's nuts. So we're going to kind of pick that apart so people can kind of figure out how you manifested that success, what you did for those, I don't know, those days that you were young. Were you out practicing a lot? What were you doing? What was Matt Gorman doing? Like, tell us about you.
You know what, I think, and to touch on Comrie and Heater, they were both pretty young at the time. So I was
for sure,
going out of the league for sure. And you know, those young fellas, they were young and ahead of their time and quite impressive. And, you know, from my end, I loved street hockey. A lot of my buds and I would, I think the focus of growing up was street hockey and always trying to score those classic goals and it was all about scoring goals. And I think that you just start that habit at a young age, and when you find that love for scoring goals, and it just is something that you continue to work on, and you continue to strive for more goals. And you know, those seasons, it was a lot of the line mates and teammates, you know, as far as myself, I'd just stand in front of the net. Usually they'd have a pull goalie and I'd tuck it in the net. So that's, you know, when I think back to that stuff, and it was great times, and just, it's funny because you get into consistency and you start to work on little habits, and once that forms, then it goes in, and you continue to build on that.
I guess that's very true. Hey, you see what clicks, what fits, and then from there you kind of just pursue it. Because if it's working for you, if it's not broken, don't fix it, right? So clearly you found something that was working. So why change that up, right?
Well, that's the thing. There would be times where I'd be thinking to myself, okay, how is this happening? How is the puck going into the net? I have a muffin of a shot, and other guys, their shots would hit the glass and make a great noise. And the thing is that I guess mine would hit the mesh and it wouldn't make any noise. But if it did hit the glass, it wouldn't make any sounds. So it was just a muffin in the net, and
it's a big muffin.
But it was a lot of fun, and you know what? I think that when you overthink things too much, I think when you start to analyze it a little bit too often, or you're putting that extra pressure on yourself, then that's why we don't see the goal scorers come out of their shell when all the kids are capable of that, and most players are capable of scoring goals. And sometimes it's just that little detail of maybe they say holding the stick a little bit too tight, or that type of idea, or just wanting it too much and not relaxing when the puck's in front of the net and capitalizing. I always, my dad always mentioned, how many shots in a game would you have? And typically you're lucky to get 4 shots in a game.
Exactly.
So I'd always get into my mind going, well, we're going to get 4 shots in a game. 3 of those have to go in a net. And the most important part was never to hit the goalie. I didn't ever want to hit the goalie, and I didn't want to miss the net. So it was either going to hit the post or go into the net. And most of the time it would hit the goalie, but hey, that's okay too.
At least you got it to the net, right? And that really reminds me of, like, even just thinking of it like baseball, right? Like, you have 3-4 at bats, and if you look at all the big batters percentages, they're batting below 50%. Like, they're batting at like 33%, and that's good, right? So like that type of stuff, like, you think how small the puck is, and then you think how big the goalie is with their equipment, right? It's a hard thing to do, and sometimes you just need to focus on just getting the puck to the net and seeing what happens. And like you said, like, your line mates, they would hook you up, they dish a puck down low. If you're down there by the post, you capitalize. I mean, that's what works. And you find those little things that work for you, and because it's like you said, it's hard to do, and sometimes you put a little bit too much pressure on yourself and you make it that much more difficult.
Absolutely. And I really believe it's a mindset. And I love how you compared it to the baseball, and I think that's a great. You have so many. You have limited opportunities, and to capitalize on them, that's the difference between going up the levels. Having that mindset as a baseball player or hockey player or whichever it is your choice of sport, you have just a small window, and it's so important to focus on what you can do positive.
100%.
I like that way that you put it there.
Well, yeah, it's like, I mean, even because I didn't play a high level of hockey, unfortunately. I think the max I played was AA. I played it because I enjoyed playing, but when I played baseball, it was like I played AAA baseball, and so some of the guys we were playing against were chucking the ball already at like mid 80s to low 90s already, right? Like, these guys are playing
incredible.
And I'm not gonna lie, like, Madison Bowie was one of the guys I played against. Amazing hockey player, but an unreal baseball player too. Kid was unreal.
Just an all-round athlete, eh? All-round.
Insane. We were 14 years old. This kid was already throwing 85 miles per hour. Sorry. Like, he was just gunning the ball in, and he was huge, right? So, like, he could clap the ball over the fence, like, no problem. So, but like stuff like that, like, you're given these small amounts of at-bats, and honestly, I went in with the mindset of just make contact. You hit the ball, you have a chance to run to the base, you have a chance to get on base, and I was fast, so for me it was just about, if I make contact, I'm on. So whether that's getting hit or hitting the ball.
Well, how intimidating is that to go in front of an 85 miles per hour
You end up shitting your pants. I mean, like
Yeah.
I was, I mean, I'm not a big guy, right, by any means or any stretch. I mean, 85 was like once I got older into midget, that was like pretty regular. You'd see 85. It was pretty normal. I mean, the fastest I think we faced was kids in Alberta can really frickin' throw it. Let me tell you. I know you're there right now, but holy cow! I mean, we played in the States and stuff too. This is getting away from hockey, but still training whatnot. Yeah, those kids in Alberta can throw the ball a lot harder than the kids in the States in here. Let me tell you. So I think 91 was the highest we saw down there.
Rubber arms. These kids, and it's
you don't even see it.
Such athleticism, and I really enjoy and appreciate the other sports, you know, and that's something where you sit back, and I'm sure you can relate to this, but when you start to when you're in your sport, you love your sport. I love the game of hockey. I love everything about it. I love the team, everything. But I really enjoy watching other sports, and I appreciate that.
Yep.
And it's just like musicians, and in the way they can, play their guitar or sing. You have such a respect for the other sports, and it's nice to watch out and hear about those young fellas that can chuck that ball, and you think to yourself, like, I'm not going to stand in front of that, you know. I'm not going.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. The first time I was like, no way, but then you have to, right? So.
Yeah.
Choice.
Like you said, Drew, it's your mindset, right? And your sports, and you do what you have to do to succeed and help your teammates out. And I respect that a lot. That's a pretty cool sport to watch. And
absolutely. Well, we're going to take a small break. We hit our commercial break here. When we get back, we're going to kind of discuss a little bit about MCM advising, what you folks do, and but.
At Collins Hotel, we have you and your family's comfort in mind. Relax in one of our 16 suites featuring king or queen size beds and 36-inch TVs. Suites also include a mini fridge and other kitchen appliances to make your stay as comfortable as possible. During your stay in Pilot Mound, visit Weiser's Restaurant, our attached family-friendly restaurant and bar. It is the perfect location to host group meals, dine with the family, or unwind after a hockey game. Come in and meet our friendly staff offering daily specials on food and drinks, Wing Night Wednesdays, Buffet Fridays, and multiple TVs to watch the game. Weiser's is the place to be. Collins Hotel and Weiser's Restaurant and Bar, located across the street from Blackjack Stewart Arena off Highway 3 in Pilot Mound.
Thank you for joining us on ASTV Sports Show. Back from the commercial break. My name is Drew Jensen. I'm joined by Matt Gorman. We were just talking a little bit about sports psychology and sort of what it takes to put yourself in the right mindset and, manifest what you want to manifest. So to kind of talk about that a little bit further, let's talk about MCN advising and what you folks do, because we ended up tailing off into baseball, but the truth is you folks deal with all athletes. You don't discriminate. You're not like, no, just hockey players. No. You're like, we deal with football players. We got lacrosse players. Tell us a little bit about MCM advising, and I'm going to put up your email down at the bottom in case they want to get a hold of you.
So basically, Drew, what our roles in the game, consist of basically is assisting young athletes to achieve their goals. I guess first and foremost, it's about the kids setting their goals and the mentoring. Basically, we want to assist them through the on ice. We'll just go through the hockey side it obviously stems into some other sports and everything. But
absolutely,
the mentoring is number one as far as our team of people with MCN. We mentor the families that we work with and the players on and off the ice. So many factors come into careers, and obviously they're young kids, so they're not pros, and they don't understand the mental side of the game, and little things. Let's talk about maybe a player has come up from the U15 triples and they get into the mid AAA system and they're not getting the ice time. Okay,
that's a great topic. Yeah.
Yeah, and you see it all the time. Some really strong kids are playing at the AAA levels, but then they start to question themselves as to, why ain't I getting the minutes that I used to get in the U15 AAAs? And it's really difficult to reflect on your game and see where you fit in on a team. See what you bring to a team, and the mental side, as we were chatting before there, Drew, is number one. The kids get so hard on themselves, and it basically they have somebody to contact and talk about those things and ask us questions. How did we respond to those things? And believe me, I sat on a bench. I sat on a bench a lot, and instead of going and just turning negative, it was the thought of focusing on the game. So I'd sit on the bench and watch the defensemen of the other team and see how they move on the ice, for example. Maybe one defenseman can't turn left that's as strong as the right. So then I'd be able to, when I got my chance to go on the ice, that's what I would do. And I'd focus my attention on that as opposed to, the negative sitting there and passing water bottles to the boys, and understanding that you still are part of the team, and that you want to ensure that their mindset is still ready to go when called upon, and understanding that sometimes there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, exactly.
It's another player has a different role on the team. That's why it's a team game. It's not an individual game. Yep. And so we get to walk them through those instances, off ice, ensuring that they understand social media, when everything, and at the younger ages of let's say the bantams and the midgets, it's really difficult time right now with all the social media, and they have to understand that everything comes back in the future. So you have to walk the line as a professional. Even though you're not a professional, you still have to maintain a professional manner all the time, and watch what you say, watch what you do, and definitely not post things that could come back to affect your character in a negative light.
Absolutely. It's such a tricky universe nowadays too, and it's all new. It's an undiscovered world, and it's like you said, it's permanent. So a lot of this stuff, whether it's unposted or deleted or removed, there's going to be people who save it or are able to find it, or right. So anything can be used against you in the future almost, or used to help you. So it's almost best to set yourself up in the right light as early as possible. And it's not like you're screening who you are, or holding back who you are. You're moderating what you're putting out to the world, and ultimately it's probably for the best.
Well, yeah, and you're 100% on that one, and making as you get older, the kids have to understand too, and we're not going and just telling them what they need to do. We give them an outline, basically. If you want to pursue hockey or your sport of choice, there's a commitment and a sacrifice that comes with that. You need to pick your times. Everybody likes to go and socialize with friends and stay up late playing video games. Guess what? I loved playing video games. I mean, I didn't go hockey before. Who didn't play that?
Exactly, right?
But and that's the thing. In picking your times to go out and party it up, and picking your times to go out and have an all-night extravaganza playing video games, because it's so important that you sacrifice things if you want success. If you talk about being an athlete, then you need to walk that line in a way, and not to the point where you're living and breathing the game and you're just, everything is regimented and there's no going out of that path, but looking at what you want out of the future and maintain that. So we basically in the mentoring side, that's our side of things, is the mentoring of the parents. Maybe the parents are frustrated with the way the kids are getting their ice time, and instead of them calling the coaches or the general managers or hurting their kids by doing those things, I'd prefer them to call myself or one of my teammates and say, hey, Matt, you know what? I'm frustrated right now. I'm seeing my son, he or daughter, they're just as good as Timmy down the way here, but they're not getting the recognition. And then at least I can talk them through and say, hey, you know what? This is what you have to focus on, this other side of things, and going to the coach. If there's anything, please come to me and not to any other parents, or let that out as far as being, because the parents are the ones that we get. And I have 3 daughters, and you know what? It's really difficult to watch when they struggle. But you know what? I know that they're going to come out of that struggle too. And it's important for the parents to understand that there's a process. And if they call us first, and I'll listen. I'll listen to what their thoughts are. And I don't pretend to know everything about the game of hockey or emotions or anything, but I'll give them my advice as far as what we see and how we can assist as far as going forward for their son or daughter.
Absolutely. I think that's a really great landing point too, because like parents can be almost more into it than the kids sometimes, and they don't understand that sometimes what they say as well can really affect what ends up happening to the kids' future and playing time, and ultimately there's ways to sort of face on, or sort of face the issue without, I don't know, talking to the coaches, and like you said, changing your mindset, which is super important, especially when you're not getting ice time. Because you can kind of get into a rut in how you feel. I've been there too. I mean, it was more so with baseball too, with sitting and stuff, being on the bench for times. It sucks, but it's like you said too, you understand your role at certain points of playing time too. Sometimes you're the pump up guy or girl who's there to boost the morale of the team, and that's what the team needs then and there. So you may not be out on the field or out on the ice or out on the diamond or whatever, wherever you are, but you might play a huge crucial role on the bench too. So I think you folks would probably tell that to a lot of your athletes as well. And it's so hard to see that though, right? So
it's very difficult, and you're 100% right. You have a family that, and they all mean well. Every family, every mom and dad, typically 99% of the people are intentions the right way, and it's you have to really watch and assess the situation. If it's the parents want this more than the young person, and if that's the case, and then we take a step back on that, and we try our best. We love the fact of helping out the kids, but if the kids are sitting there and they're just kind of like, they haven't done any research as far as junior hockey or NCAA, or even into the minors, or even that type of idea, then how invested are they in their futures? If they're not putting in the time, working out, and I'm not saying you have to work out nonstop, and you're seeing a lot of the kids, I as far as the working outside, I think there's a fine line, as far as how much work they are putting into the game. And I guess as long as they're doing something that's creating that future for them by working hard and showing that they want it, then that's all that we look at. If they're talking about it instead of doing it, and that goes for their academics too. You look at that part, and if they're just talking the talk about school and not really putting that effort in, then who wants it?
Yeah. Is it the parents or is it the kid, right? And I think that's important too. We're going to go on a quick commercial break.
Are Are you looking for a career in the salon industry? Check out Aveda Institute Winnipeg in the Exchange. What sets us apart is our student mentorship program, 95% placement rate after graduation, real-world salon experience, and network of 7,000 salons and spas. You will learn creative cut and coloring, latest trends and techniques, social media marketing, fashion shows, photo shoots, and more. Now accepting applications for 2018, so check us out and book your tour today. Aveda Institute Winnipeg. Hair school the way it should be.
On the ASTV Sports Show, I'm with Matt Gorman. My name is Drew Jensen. We were just talking about what it's like to not get a ton of ice time or field time, playing time, so on and so forth, how to sort of combat that. My last episode, I talked to Bailey Bram as well, and she sort of discussed her struggles on Team Canada and not getting that a ton of ice time when she played for the Olympic team, and she was on the line for and being cut and what that was like, and how she combated that herself. What's sort of the biggest piece of advice that you give to your players?
You know what? The biggest piece of advice is to love the game. You know, love what you're doing. Don't take it as a job. Don't think of it as something that you have to do. Think of it as something that you love to do and that you want to do. And I think that's the most important part. Don't do it because others are doing it or because it's a thing to do. But really, if you love the game of hockey and or the game of baseball, whichever sport it is, then really just, you know, love it to every part of it, you know, and represent it too. You know, represent. And when I talk to the young kids that we work with, that's a huge component. Understanding that if you're a hockey player, you have an obligation to the game to basically represent it, and that's on and off the ice, and representing it the way you talk to people, the way that you care for people, and the way that you're part of a team, and all those little things that, you know, appreciate others for differences, you know, and those are things that you know, from our end. Those are things we talk about with these young kids, is to just really, and if you love it, then go for it.
Yeah, just go for it, 100%.
Yeah, you're young once. You're young once, and everything else will come. Work comes eventually.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
Comes eventually. Slow pitch comes eventually.
Oh, 100%.
Right? You and I 100%. Both know it.
Oh, I know. It's beer league for me this year again. So, but
and
I mean, it's
awesome.
But it's a ton of fun, and it's part of like the journey as an athlete that you make too, right? Because you're gonna go through moments and phases in a journey, right? And it's watching that transition is fun as well, and not putting so much pressure on yourself too to kind of be that ultimate athlete or ultimate performer too is probably helpful. Especially playing on a beer league team. It's probably not the right attitude to have.
No, you know what's funny, Drew, is when I went back to playing in the rec league here out in Drayton Valley, it was special for me coming out, and the fact that I was able to go in, they welcomed me in to play. You know, I think it was a 7-team league at the time, and the thing that was similar was the dressing room. The guys are the same, and I say that a lot to the kids, and I'm sure in the you know, the hockey, whoever. Some people are like, well, you know what, I played midget C or I did this. Well, guess what? The game is the same at no matter which level you play or any sport you're playing at. It's all about the dressing room, and it sounds cliche because everybody says it, but it's so funny because I go into the dressing room in my rec league, and the personalities are the same as any pro league or any junior team or any midget 100%. League, or, you know, and I think you could attest to that, Drew.
Oh, 100%. Like I work at Pro Hockey Life right now, and all the guys that work there, like I'm one of the only guys that I'm not playing hockey right now. I just love hockey, but they are all hockey players, and it's the same atmosphere. So it's great, honestly.
That is, and that's a special thing about the game. You know, you can go through the levels, you can go as far as you like, but no matter what, you can go into any community if you start a new job somewhere. If you're getting, you're looking for a friend in a community, you can do it by going to the arena with your stick and your skates and saying, "Hey, is there a team for me to play on?" If you can't even skate, that's okay too, as long as you hang out in the dressing room and you show that you have somewhat of a personality and you can make a friend in that way. And I think 100%. That's the special thing about the baseballs and the basketball and that's what the sports are about. And it's not about going to the NHL or the American leagues or the Europes or anywhere. It's about the life experience. That's and it all comes back in full circle, like you said, Drew. You get older, and you're not as old as I am here, but it's a pretty unique circle that you're a part of.
Yeah, it's cool. Like I haven't even reached the end of it, so we'll see what that brings.
You got to keep playing, buddy. You're too young for stop.
Oh, for sure. I'm only 24, so I got a bit of time left in me for sure.
Oh yeah. You got. I think Yager's still playing. And he's like 60.
Oh my God. Yeah. No. Yeah. Well. Yeah. He's nuts. So
oh, unbelievable. Yeah.
He's a legend. He's a legend.
Ever watch
so definitely a legend. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
So we talked a little bit about that attitude, that mentality of really wanting it, and if you want it, go get it. I mean, I mentioned before, I talked to Bailey Brown about it last episode, and how she sees a lot of parents sort of force kids into things that they're not necessarily interested in or want to do all the time, and how that can affect people. So it's refreshing to hear another point from someone who's played pro, who knows what it's like, who can say like, hey, step aside, sort of reevaluate what you're doing. If you really want, like, if you really enjoy it, the fun will come, and the results they may or may not come, but like at least you'll enjoy it. And like you said too, that dressing room mentality and camaraderie is second to none. So
yeah, and people have to remember that it's a marathon. The game of hockey, it's baseball, whichever sport it is, it's a marathon. It's not just a sprint, and it's everything's what you see on TV. There's really a process to that, and it's going through those phases. And I believe that you're a better player for having those situations where you're sitting on a bench and you're a supporting cast, and it's really difficult for the kids. And there were times that I was a player that was getting a lot of ice time, and then when it came down to being the second string and supporting cast, it was difficult on your mind to sit and go like, well, you know what? And now I'm sitting here and I'm carrying sticks and filling water bottles, and I believe that it makes you stronger and it pushes you a little bit harder.
Yeah.
At the same time.
I 100% agree. That's true. I guess we'll go on another quick commercial break.
Jungle. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Thank you for joining us back on the ASTV Sports Show. My name is Drew Jensen. I am joined by Matt. Is it this way? This way? It's this way. There we go. Matt Gorman, who's going to be basically discussing a little bit more about MCN advising, what these folks do. We will be doing future episodes with Matt. Hopefully get a player on board too to maybe discuss how they've gone through the advising process, what it works or what it has looked like for them and how it's worked. Another question I wanted to ask to kind of kick off this segment, tell us a little bit about the skill training that you do.
So a part of, I guess my job is the skill development, supporting coaches through practices as a second and like another voice, basically. So the reason you bring a skill development coach on, such as myself, is not because we know everything about the game of hockey and go out there and everything changes for the kids. Basically, it's a different approach to the teaching, I guess, and reiterating what the coaches are saying day in and day out. And, it gives the kids a fresh voice to learn from, as opposed to the coaches that are, again, maybe not playing the kids as much, and they're the good guys, the guys that are reprimanding them and making sure that they're accountable for what they're doing on the ice and all those types of different roles that coaches play that are so important. So basically it's bringing in a skills coach to work on the stick handling side, passing, the shooting. Maybe there's some power moves that we'll go over, skating, things that potentially the coaches don't focus on over the practice times that they have. Maybe the coaches are running a few more smaller 8 games, that type of stuff, or maybe they have other ideas for defensive zone coverages or whichever the case. We come in and basically focus on the goal scoring side. Maybe there's some defensive side, but in the skills development side, so that the kids are able to do what the coaches are asking. If we're working on passing, they need that in order to do the breakouts, from the coach's side. Without skills, the basic skills for the kids, they're not able to do the things that the coaches are asking of them. So that's basically what we do. We, as a skills coach, I go in and I'll have my plan, and then I'll run the practice, and it gives the coaches a little time off as far as them having to do that, set up their practice plans. They're 100% involved in it with myself. They give input when I give input. Stopping habits. When I do drills, I really focus on the execution and how they're doing it, and trying to create the habits that will make the kids and help them be successful going forward. But that's it's a busy spot. I travel all over doing it, and I really enjoy that part.
It's interesting too that you work directly with the coaches. I feel that is a better system than simply just offering like a camp or sort of like a program that people come to, because you're working directly with that team, the coach. They're there, they're giving input. It's more of like a back and forth type system, and I guess like kids would be a lot less confused in that manner too. They're not taking like one set of skills or perhaps bad habits that they learn somewhere and then taking them to practice or whatever too. What is that like for you?
That's great point on that, Drew. Basically it's the coaches. Maybe we have some volunteer, they're volunteer coaches in the minor hockey systems. Maybe they haven't been coaching before, and they're able to lean on myself a little bit and ask questions too. And then we have coaches that have been coaching for a long time, longer than I have, and with some really good knowledge and experience, and working together with them. It's fantastic for the kids, and we can all give our perspectives and our. If I have a drill and we're trying to execute the drill, all the coaches understand what we're looking for in the little habits, and being able to tweak them a little bit. So those kids that are maybe playing the Adam C's, if they have those aspirations to move along, that they're all getting that information as well passed on to them. At the younger ages, and it's a team. Every time we're on the ice, in my mind and in their minds, we're a team. anytime I go out with the team, our focus is working together. It's not Matt goes out on the ice and pretends to know everything and that type of idea. We have our discussions, during a drill. We'll call them in and we'll all give our perspectives of what we see, and then we'll give feedback, and then we'll go back to the basics of the drill and do it that way.
Good. That's awesome. It seems like it's a very working, like it's not one way. It's not, okay, we're doing this. This is how it's being done. It's very malleable, which would work so well for every different type of player as well, and coach, because I assume coaches will have different coaching styles and how they approach things too, obviously, right? So how is that for you? Like, obviously you're coming across different personalities and, like you said, different levels that these coaches are experienced in. What's that like for you, coming from sort of like a pro background?
You know what? It's I appreciate them. I appreciate all the personalities and the way that they approach it, and a lot of the time I can take from them as well. With the way that they see things, and when I'm out there, I guess you leave the egos at the door. When you go on the ice, you can't go on and pretend you know everything. Maybe somebody's got something else that is a good way that the kids. It's all about the kids and helping them understand. So maybe that's coming in and the coaches. There's times that the coaches have their minds, one way, and then after we go through a few things, and they're going, Matt, you know what? That makes sense. And that's I'm gonna go through with this way and carry it forward, and I really like that. I like the discussion side of it all, and we go through before practices, and the coaches, I give them the outline, and they're welcome to add or delete anything that I basically put into that. And most of the time they're all, well, I guess every time they've been taking the plan for what it was and just adding their comments and piecing it together, or asking what we need to focus on. What's the focus of the drill? Because anybody can go out and run a drill. We can all look on YouTube, but there's things that we want to piece in there and focus on for the kids. And I know from my experience, I'm sure yours too, Drew, the years of just going through a drill and thinking you're doing it the right way, whereas I was probably doing it wrong. 10 out of 10, man. And that's where we're trying to get away from, is just trying to focus on a few pieces, not too many. We don't want to be bombarding the kids and feeling like it's science class. We want to make sure that we have a few components that we're going to focus on, and that's it. And then they start to look at that. But the coaches and I, before practices, and I'll give the first couple drills to the kids so they have an understanding. And if we're not executing it, then we'll just slow it down and say, hey, it's fine. Because the days we were just zipping through, remember the days of just get your puck, go through the pylons, and you're gone. And
I do. And even adding a puck or a ball, it changes things, right? So I mean, I remember for baseball, even our gloves, we earned our gloves. So I had a coach that made us play with wooden boards on our hands with like straps. So you'd strap your hand in, and he'd hit the ball like full speed, and you'd catch pop flies, and you'd catch grounders, and you'd catch people throwing it to bases. And I played with wooden boards for not like in a season, but we practiced with them. And it's like you learn to like appreciate the small things, and you take for granted a lot of it too. But yeah, you add a ball or a glove or a puck, and you start dicking around or fooling around, or it changes things. So it's like you said, you think you're doing a drill right, and then you revisit it and you're like, holy shit, nope, that's not what I'm supposed to do. We're supposed to be working on my like transitioning. Oh, I thought this was a shooting drill, like stuff like that, right? Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
you got to get that coach on this show, buddy. You got to get him on this, and that's classic.
Yeah,
that was classic, man. That's
I'd love to get him on. We'll have to get him on and talk about his training too. Yeah, one of the coaches I had, he passed away a couple years ago. He was known in Manitoba by like everybody. He was super, super big. His name was Bob Shipley, probably one of the best baseball coaches in Canada, in my opinion.
Wow.
But the other guy, his name is Doug McKay. He's a pretty great guy. If he's watching right now, hi Doug. Hi, Coach Doug. But great guy, great guy. So we're going to throw to another commercial break. When we get back, we're going to talk a little bit about the advising side to MCN advising. So we talked a little bit about skills right now. We're going to talk a little bit more about the not the financial side, but the academic side rather, and I guess the financial side too, scholarships, applications, all that. So when we get back, join us. Back to ASTV Sports Show. My name is Drew Jensen. I am joined by Matt Gorman. We just spoke about skills, training, what it takes to kind of get to the next level physically. Right now, we're going to be talking a little bit about the academic, financial, advising side, what it takes to apply to a university that you want to go to or a team you want to play for, what the paperwork looks like, how to get over the overwhelming task of basically applying for a school or place you want to end up. So here's Matt to kind of discuss that a little bit.
So basically, without your academics, there's no hockey. So you have to first and foremost focus on the academic side and getting those 16 core subjects, and it varies per province as far as the admission side. Every university in the States has a different admissions expectations and in a scale there, and there's an Ivy League schools are your Princetons, Harvards, and Dartmouth. So basically, your highly academic kids can go to those schools just basic through their academic side. The academics, the sports side is an important component to that end too, but the academics are number one.
Yeah,
it's all based on financial aid. So there's no NCAA scholarships offered out to those players. It's all based on the family's incomes and assets, and although they basically will break down a tuition cost to a player based on the family's dynamics financially. And we don't get involved in that end of things. That's strictly private in the kids and their family components there, but as far as the NCAA Div 1 programs like your North Dakotas or your Ohio States or Denver universities, each university in the States is permitted to offer 18 scholarships. Okay, so basically 18 scholarships are right across the board for all NCAA Div 1 hockey programs. Now, what happens is those 18 scholarships are divided up amongst 26 players. So if that makes sense, so you can have a player like Matt Gorman, he's worth 20% of a scholarship, meaning he's not getting a full ride, and then they give Drew 80%. So therefore it'd be one scholarship gone. And it keeps the playing fields, through each university program pretty even. When you start to look at the governing body of the NCAA, and they keep it pretty tight knit on that end, and making it fair for all the schools and the kids to compete for these scholarships. Now, as far as the cost of the universities are quite expensive to attend. They vary per university. No university is the same to sit and say, hey, you know what, Denver's the same as Minnesota.
Sure.
They all have their different types of admissions expectations and SAT scores. The SAT is something that each potential student athlete needs to write in order to attend a university program in the States. So all the kids, typically we try, they change the NCAA rights of the SATs. You could write them as many times as you wanted in the past, but now they've changed it to 5. You can only write it 5 times in your life, and and basically that SAT, it's out of 1,600, and they take that SAT and combine it with your academics in high school, and then it would give you where you compare against all the other athletes and students throughout Europe and Canada and the States.
It's a big pool of people.
You know what? In the European market, we do bring Euros over this way. We have a great network of people out that way that work with MCN and help the kids out from that end. So it's a really competitive world out there for the NCAA side, and again, it's not for everybody either. It's not for everybody, but it is if it's something that you want to do, the academics have to be first and foremost. You can be the best hockey player, baseball or soccer or football, but we really need to focus on that side of the
spectrum, right?
The spectrum, yeah, you betcha.
Yeah, if it's not there, then you can't really pursue it or push it further, because there's going to be no base to stand on in terms of where you're going to be in the future. Because being playing pro, you're not necessarily going to be in a profession for long, but what are you going to do after? It's beneficial to, most pros just retire and they chill, which is cool. But there's people who want to pursue stuff after they're done, and when you're young, you probably don't think about that. You're like, oh man, NHL or the MLB, I got to make it to the bigs. It's all about getting to that height, because it's huge, right? It's a big thing to acquire, but you don't realize that after that's over, even if you make it after that time is done, there's going to be a huge chunk of time, 60 years, 50, 60 years. What are you going to do? What are you going to do, right? Yager's still playing, but I guarantee you Yager does cross stitching or something. He's got to be doing something, man, other than just he's probably doing something, working on cars. I don't know. I'll have to look it up. We'll see what Yager's doing, but exactly.
And you're 100%, and it's tough for a young person to think about the future, and it's difficult for and for me. You know what? I still got a future that I still wonder about now too. You always thinking of something else. You're always trying to build on yourself and what you're about and add things, and you know what? It never ends. And for a young person, I can't imagine. And we talk about goal setting a lot and what they want to take in school, and a lot of them are like, well, I have no idea. I just want to go play hockey and I'm going to do this. Well, and I can understand that. I can understand that, through and through, that how somebody's asking me what I want to take in university and I'm in grade 10. Well,
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Leave me alone.
Yeah.
Pass me the puck, man.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what.
That's great. Yeah.
Funny it's like a deer in the headlights sometimes. We're going well, I have no idea, Matt. And I guess you know what? It's okay. It's fine if they have no idea. It's about having them to start thinking about it, and that little bit of a foundation to start looking at what they want in the future and that type of idea.
That's perfect. We're going to go on our final commercial break. When we get back, Matt's going to discuss MCN, what we're going to be doing for episode 2. And the next sort of upcoming plans for the episode. So when we get back, join us. For joining us back at ASTV Sports Show. My name is Drew Jensen. I'm joined by Matt Gorman. This way. There we go. And we were just discussing sort of the advising side to MCN, what it takes academically. You mentioned academics always come first. Got to have that nailed, set down in stone, so that when you are ready to make that step to pro or the next level, you have the basis to back it up. So we talked about that, but I just kind of want to discuss in the last 10 minutes of our episode here. Anything you want to add? And also, what we're going to be talking about in episode 2. I think we're going to try to pull on a player or two to try to discuss their experience with it.
Sounds great. Yeah, you know what? I guess a few things, as far as my team, the MCN team, when we started here 5 years ago, one of the things that I really was focused on was the mentoring side, as we mentioned before, and all the guys that I brought on board of the MCN team are ex-pros, and we're not, there's no business guys. We're all ex-players that love the game, and we're passionate about the game, and we love to see the young kids go as far as they can with the game of hockey or their sport. Anybody that's representing the MCN side is an ex-pro and has the experience to give back to the kids in that role, helping them understand that sometimes it's not because you did something wrong that you didn't make the team, or that you're put on waivers, or you were, traded. There's other underlying factors that came in. Maybe there's another player that did something a little.
Oh, I think I lost Matt here. Oh,
One of those.
I lost you a little bit.
Scenarios there where you just help them with their guidance, and we've all been there. We've all been where we've been cut or released, and that's something that I really take pride in, is that all of our guys are ex-players and have had the highs and lows of the game, and that's one of the components, I guess, as far as MCN. We when we work with our kids, we try our best to give them evaluation. So we'll go through every player that we have on there. We'll have a person that goes out. We have quite a few numbers that assist the advising team and go out and give evaluations for the kids, not only to learn from, but to work on, where they can have it broken down, and we'll give them the guidance and who to see. Yeah. I'm not a strength and conditioning coach, so our team consists of a network of people, from sports psychologists to strength and conditioning people, skills development, other skills coaches. I love referring guys to other skills coaches as well, because again, it's learning for them. It's not you come to Matt Gorman and then you learn everything. There's other great people out there that do the skills side of things, and the emotional intelligence side. We have a guy that does that, and we help our kids through every aspect. At the same time, we're permitted through NCAA sports to expose the players to the NCAA programs. As an advisor, not as an agent, giving the credible information to the coaches on behalf of our kids. Obviously, all the kids have development that they need to work on, and those are things that we'll talk to the coaches about and give our honesty on it. And there's no smoke and mirrors. It doesn't mean that a player makes a team because we've done that. It just means that when the coach is in the rink and they're watching a game, they can make their assumptions on that player, if he's going to fit the culture of that program or not. Yeah. We don't make any promises to anybody. If anybody's calling me and they expect a promise that their player is going to go to, their son's going to go to the NHL or play in the minors or in the NCAA or junior, I'm the wrong guy, because guess what? The game is a market where you just don't know. You don't know, but if we can help you out, and if you're committed to the game, then that's all that we're about. And it's a whole lot more than that. It's life experience. I want them to go to junior A and play junior A hockey and have the life experience away from home, away from mom and dad. What better is there than having a billet and being a big brother to some 7-year-old that's a single child, and being a role model to them, and going into practices. And then when the game of hockey is said and done, these kids have done that, and they've lived that, and that's what it's all about to us. It's really not about the NHL or the NCAA or anything. It's about the kids and what they want to do. Yeah. And if they want to play, we want to be part of that. That's it. And there's places all over the place. I've been around. I'm an old guy now, and
Oh, there we go. I lost you there for a second. There. You came
yeah, I
back.
went over there a little bit, but
There. That's okay. No, it's true. Like, it's what the kids want. Where the kids are gonna end up is what they want, and yeah, if they want it, they'll go for it. It's like you said too. So, but yeah, that's amazing. Like I said, I'll pop up the website here. Follow it down below. That's the website. Matt's got a massive team of people that will assist your child or you if you're watching to get to the next level academically and athletically as well. This is Matt's email right down here too. It's mgorman MCN advising, right, at gmail.com. It's just right here, right down there. So follow that email, message Matt if you have any questions about how the program works or what they do or how he works with coaches. Feel free to get a hold of him. Matt's going to be on for another episode of ASTV Sports Show. This is just episode 1. Episode 2, we're going to dive into a little bit more of the nitty-gritty of the program and how it works. We're going to hopefully talk to a couple players. I'd like to speak to players that are currently in the program with you, if they're comfortable with doing that, and I'd kind of fire off some fun questions about how they've liked it, what they've been doing, how they've sort of seen the work applied to their hockey lives and their academic lives. But yeah, until then, my name is Drew Jensen. This is Matt Gorman. Do you want to say anything else, Matt, before we go? Do we have somewhere to follow you at, or?
you know what? I really appreciate you having me on, Drew. I hope everybody enjoyed that too. Thanks for listening. I had a lot of fun.
I had a blast too. And if you liked the episode, make sure to like and subscribe. Follow us on Facebook. We have a YouTube channel as well, so subscribe to that. My name is Drew Jensen. This is episode 3 of the ASTV Sports Show. Join us for episode 4 and episode 2 of Take It to the Next Level with Matt Gorman. Until then, we will see you next time. Awesome. Thank you so much, Matt. It was a pleasure to have you on the show. I know we're still live right now, but as soon as I click off the live video, I won't be able to talk to you. So...
Hey, man, I you know what? I really enjoyed that too, Drew. Nice meeting you there and hearing about your stories there too. And I look forward to the next time.
It's gonna be a blast. Yeah, it's gonna be a blast. I look forward to it. Have a good rest of your day, and yeah, we'll see you the next time.
You betcha. Thanks a lot, man. Have a great one.
Take care.
See ya.
All right, folks. That's it for me. We'll just try to move that over this way here. There we go. That's it for me. My name is Drew Jensen. This was the ASTV Sports Show episode 3 with Matt Gorman. If you would like to get a hold of me, feel free to get a hold of me down here. It's drew@amateursports.tv. If you are a coach, if you are an athlete, if you are a parent who has seen something awesome or wants to share their kid's experience, get at me. Message me here at the email. I would love to have you on the show. Perhaps it pertains to a topic that we're going to be discussing. In future episodes, we are going to be talking to Matt Gorman a little bit about MCM advising and what it's about, but we're also going to be diving into the rise of female hockey. So if you are a female hockey player, playing juniors right now or interested in kind of talking about your experience, we did talk to Bailey Brand. We want to talk to other female hockey players. Like I said, get at me. Until then, folks, thank you for joining me. My name is Drew Jensen. Follow us on ASTV Sports. That's Amateur Sports TV and Radio on Facebook. You can follow me on Instagram at WPG_DJ. Right here on Instagram. You can follow me there. But until then, take care and have yourselves a good one.